This is a haptic feedback sensor that I got from Aloft Hobbies. I'm going to be installing this in the Taranis. There's already a real good install video out on YouTube, so I'm not going to remake that. But I'm just going to tell you some hints. This is a connection or a wire I had off of an old servo lead that I cut off. And since it already has all the right wires, I'm just going to use this to solder onto here. Now after I get this installed, I'll give you a little bit of opinion of what I think of this. Installing the 3 wires wasn't bad. I did have this kind of tip on my soldering iron, so that made it a lot easier, but they went on pretty easily. Getting the haptic feedback installed here wasn't too big of a deal either. Just the 2 screws pulled out with the hot glue. Part just making me nervous are these wires and these little tiny points. Boy, in the video he made, they sure looked a lot bigger than this, but oh well, we'll try it. So the wiring's done. This signal wire wasn't bad. The ground wire wasn't bad. This red wire going down there to R10, let's see if I can get it focused. That was near impossible. But I got it on, and then I put a little hot glue down here to hold that wire in place so when I shut it, it doesn't want to move. I think it's connected. I'm trying to look at it even through the video screen here, and I think it's connected. Anyway, I soldered that thing probably 10 times. Anyway, that is a toughie. One other thing the other video didn't mention is you need to come in here to your OpenTX for Taranis, and you need to click on this little settings button right here, and it pops up, and you need to click on Haptic. So that way you have your haptic firmware. Push OK. Then you want to come up here again, and you want to click this download button. Then this place right here, the latest download will be blank. And you want to click check for updates, and it will download the OpenTX Taranis Haptic EN firmware. Once you have that downloaded, this is, whoa, I'm sorry for the shakiness. This is what you have to flash to your Taranis. Overall, it was very nerve-wracking to install this haptic feedback reader, a haptic feedback thing, just because that little small one is so small. Once you get the haptic feedback installed, the thing installed, and the and it all put back together, and the new firmware put on, then you'll have this haptic feedback or haptic setting in your radio. If you don't have that, it's because you don't have that enabled in your firmware. You need to re-download the firmware and reinstall it. Now, if you're having problems with the USB, with the computer reading the USB, you can make a directory on your SD card called firmwares. It's all capital, and put the firmware in there that the companion TX downloads for you, and then you can hold down these 2 trims here to the inside, turn it on, and it'll go into a place where you can actually load the firmware. Anyway, like I said, very nerve-wracking, but it does work. And I don't know if it's as cool as, I mean, you can kind of hear it. And I can feel it, you know, it's like bzz, 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 and that's about it. And if you saw in the settings, I had the length set up as long as it would and the strength set up as long as it would. But for its size, I guess I really can't expect too much more than that. But it is kind of cool to have a haptic feedback. I set it to all. Anyway, if you're thinking about doing this, just make sure you got a small soldering iron, because it is small on that thing. And and I don't know what else is in there, but I don't want to screw anything else up that's in there and fry it or unsolder anything. Anyway, if you have any questions, you can ask them, and I'll try to answer them, but don't count on getting good answers from me. But it is kind of cool, and it's cool to say I have haptic feedback when other people don't. Anyway, thanks for watching.